Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
Janice.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good day to garden.
Just a good day.
That's why
Yesterday,
we're
at
For
least,
drying
all the
our
rain
hair.
this weekend.
Yeah, it was great. We deserve it.
that's right. All the rain and storms and
Oof.
humidity.
Power outages,
Yep.
pain in the butt.
Tornadoes. Okay, come on. Oh, here.
We're waiting for people to join. Does anybody have anything fun that is blooming in their yard right now?
A plant everywhere.
My turtle head is finally in bloom.
Oh,
Yay.
nice.
And I've got hyssop, giant hyssop going.
Yes, it's up for me too. Cardinal flowers getting ready to bloom.
Oh, mine's almost done, but yeah, it's been lovely.
I feel like I've been behind. I mean, literally myself and my gardens. So, but I also have things that are coming up that I didn't I don't know where it came from, like a couple additions of Joe Pye weed.
Hmm.
So I think
They easily spread.
mhm.
Well, that's another good one. Yeah, Joe Pye weed is in bloom right now. My liatris, it was done like weeks ago, which is why I
That's
laugh
funny.
about this.
Mine is still going strong, but my Joe Pye weed is pretty much done right now. So
Really? Do you
I
have the regular or do you have one of the variants? Because there's sweet, there's
I
Holland,
don't
there's a couple,
I
there's
don't remember which one I have.
okay.
It's been a long time. I don't think when I planted it, I think I was a beginner and I didn't realize that there were different kinds. So it's just like, oh, this one will do.
Yeah, I'm just surprised to hear that it's, you know, done, like
Mhm.
because it lasts so long that even if it started early, which I can't, I didn't quite track if mine was early or not, just because, like I said, it lasts so long.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
I
my
think the
iron.
rain might have like poo-pooed it a little bit.
really,
But yeah, I have cardinal flower too. Cherry that mine's look pretty good.
see, mine has not finished coming up yet, so, but I think that was delayed because of the lack of rain.
Hmm.
Yeah, we got a few bouts, but like, for the most part, there's some drought there. So,
Yeah.
and the only reason why I got some extra watering was after my sensitive fern, like 75% of it died out. And so I decided to, okay, let me give it that area some extra water. And now that's coming back, as well as I noticed the cardinal flower and the blue lobelia and a few other things are coming to head in that back area.
I'm visiting from New Jersey. I don't know if you guys get a blue mist flower out there. Some people call it purple
Oh, yeah.
mist flower. It's
I do
like that's
too.
looking really good right now over here. And my butterfly milkweed is like
Mm.
the younger ones are finally like having their moment, which is exciting to see. False sunflower is like has been going and just keeps going. I don't know if you get false sunflower where you are.
Yeah, we have oxeye.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah,
false
yeah,
sunflower.
yeah. Oxide, yeah. That one's been pleasing me.
Yeah, that's another nice long blooming one.
Yeah,
Right.
But
yeah.
I'm
I feel like
surprised to hear you say about butterfly milkweed. Mine has been done and is already to seed. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a few like little
yeah,
sprouts here and there that are still have something, but for the most part, it's gone to seed.
yeah. I started it last year, and there were some. I got really obsessed with it, so I was like, I'm gonna put it everywhere. And then there are some places that I don't know about you, but like, we had a really wet March, April, so they almost like dissolved, and then they just got like some of them are done or seed everything, and then the ones who got a late start, they're just right now, like finally blooming. So it's like, yes, you did it, and here you are. I'm gonna get your seed.
My neighbor has tried to do the butterfly milkweed from seed a few times and she can't get it to stick. So
Oh,
I don't know if she's
Oh,
doing
yeah.
something wrong or you're doing something right. So
these honestly, I've started them from seed. I would say there's like a it's not 100% success rate, but they've come okay. Yeah.
that's good.
I think I think sometimes it's about the right place. Sometimes people put them in too much, like put them in an area that's too moist, or they just literally love them to death until they just can't handle it anymore and then die.
That might be what she's doing.
Yeah. They don't like it wet.
Yeah, that's
Our
what swamp milkweed is for.
our passion
Yes.
vine is going crazy.
Oh, cool.
I've never seen one in person.
I was about to say, neither have I. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
It's I think we got ours from Indigenous Landscapes down in Cincinnati. And it has been going gangbusters in our front yard. This year had us a little worried because it bloomed super, super early. But I guess I kind of forgot that it has a really early bloom and then it kind of stops blooming for like over a month when it just starts climbing like crazy. And then once it's done climbing, it blooms again.
That's
And
interesting.
now it's
Okay,
just going
I need that name
gangbusters.
of that plant again. What was that again?
The passion vine.
It's the one that
Um,
looks like it should not be a native. It's really, it's like
Yes.
tropical looking.
Yes. So it is Passiflora incarnata. So it is a subtropical plant. However, Ohio is on the most northern edge of its range. I've heard that it's also called maypop, so you might have heard that. The fruit, it supposedly tastes like Capri Sun. I've never really heard of that.
I hadn't heard that either. I like it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
I think we're all running for our phones to look it up right now. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's a really cool plant.
It's pretty.
There's lots of parts of the plant that are edible if you prepare them right. It's I was talking with a nursery owner here near where I live, and she was talking about how the bees like to sleep on the flowers, and I'm like, oh, the bees are just tired because they're at night and they're just like, I'm just gonna hunker down. And she's like, oh no, they get drunk off the nectar from the flowers and they just pass out.
Wow.
Sounds like a good night out.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh,
Well,
I think they like to sleep on anise hyssop a lot too. Sometimes I just see them just all like hanging, clinging to the edges of mine. Very adorable.
Right. We're gonna keep moving here. So welcome everybody. This is Wild Ones Greater Cleveland chapter, our August chapter meeting. We made it to August. As mentioned at the beginning of this, you know, the weather has kind of been very nice to us this week. So after some storms and rain and humidity, it's very nice out, knock on wood. So we're going to talk a bit today about summertime edibles with David Williams, who's here with us. We're going to go through some chapter updates as usual, look at some a few past events that we just had and some upcoming. I think we have some really cool stuff coming up here in the early fall. So make sure to stay on so you can hear about what we got going on. But for now, I'll turn it over to Sherry to introduce our speaker for today.
welcome, David. David Williams is a speaker and instructor on native edible plants for various conservation groups and outreach organizations, including Wild Ones Columbus Chapter, Appalachia Ohio Alliance, the Columbus Garden School, Friends of the Lower Olentangy Watershed, Stratford Ecological Center, Columbus Natural History Society, and the Native American Indian Center of Central Ohio. He's a winemaker using native and non-native botanicals to make homemade wines. He's a poet specializing in eco-horror, where he not only highlights the fears and worries of environmental destruction, but also shows the darker side to Mother Nature's beauty. So welcome, David. I'm sure we'll have some questions after your talk, so.
Yeah.
Feel
Well,
free to share your screen. You should have
yes.
access. Okay.
Let me do that right now. Okay, so as we stated before, my name is David Williams. I think Sherry did a really good job explaining everything that I have to offer. By all means, if you want my contact information towards the end, I can give that to you. This is a little bit of a shorter version of a presentation I've done for other chapters of Wild Ones, as well as NACO, the Native American Indian Center of Central Ohio, and FLOW, Friends of the Lower Olentangy Watershed. I'm sure I don't have to say what's a native and what's a non-native for Wild Ones. However, I do like to just do like a quick refresher. It's any plant that was here before pre-colonizer or pre-Columbian. And it's also the term invasive also sometimes gets used for native plants. Like someone might say that the passion flower vine is invasive. Well, it's aggressive. Or goldenrod is aggressive. It's not invasive. It can't be because it's native. That being said, passion vine is very aggressive. It's very sneaky where it likes to go. But that just means there's more of it to use, both for us and for the insects, birds, etc. Invasive, obviously, the two big ones here in Ohio, as far as plants go, are the Japanese honeysuckle and garlic mustard, both of which have edible properties to them. Honeysuckle you can eat or use the flowers to make tea. That's pretty much the only thing that they're good for. I know there's someone here in Columbus that makes benches out of the honeysuckle, which is surprising. Garlic mustard was brought over here by the French as a salad crop. It grows everywhere. The pictures you see, the bottom right one is one that's going to be a little bit more tasty. The upper left is the mature variety. It gets a little more bitter the more mature it gets. But obviously, if it's invasive, we want to get it out of there. Another one that I don't have pictured, but I actually picked some just last weekend is autumn olive. You can take the red berries from the olive before it's completely matured and make jams out of it. We actually just did that last weekend. The good thing is if they're invasive, you don't have to worry about picking too much because we want it gone anyways. Some tools that I like to use, a hiking shoes, a nice pair of shoes or boots. Waterproof is one I always like to say is good. It's not necessary. Gloves, if you're looking to pick something like nettle that might sting or hurt you. And then any sort of like pruning instrument or a harvesting knife, because there are some plants that we want to take clippings from, like staghorn sumac, which I'll cover in a little bit. And we want to try and do as little harm to the plant that we're taking from as we can. So that means doing nice clean cuts if we need to do something that involves a pruning tactic. Field guides, notebooks. I also say iNaturalist. If you don't want to have to lug around like 3 field guides with you all the time, iNaturalist is really good. The Peterson field guide is really helpful because it's small. It can fit in almost any bag and it has a lot of information. with it. So it's pretty comprehensive. There are some things that get looked over, but it's a really good resource. With harvesting native plants, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Robin Wall Kimmerer's Braiding Sweetgrass. This is a book written by a botanist and also a member of the Potawatomi Nation, Dr. Robin Wall Kimmerer. In her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, she talks about the honorable harvest and what that means, understanding what's taking care of you so you can take care of it, giving gifts and reciprocity. For me, that means either if I'm picking something in an area, I maybe look to see if there's an invasive plant I can remove or litter I can pick up. You never take more than half. You never take the first, so you're ensured that you never take the last, and that there's some leftover for whatever comes along after you, whether that be another forager or a animal or just the plant itself. And then you also give thanks. This book was a really key point for me in furthering my love for nature and also going into foraging. It's a pretty dense read. However, she also narrates the audiobook, and all of that you can get from your local library or through library adjacent apps like Libby. You can just download the audiobook and listen. I would highly recommend it if you haven't read it already. A few of the species that are still out, luckily, y'all are about 2 hours north of Columbus, so you're probably about 2 weeks behind us. So you should still have these around. The first is staghorn sumac. All sumacs are edible. The berries are. If the berries are red, if the berries are white, it's poison sumac, which actually just got reclassified. It's not technically a sumac at all. What I have pictured here is what the staghorn sumac berry clusters look like. They can be used as a seasoning. If you've ever had Middle Eastern or Mediterranean cuisine, specifically sitar, the main ingredient is sumac. It's just Mediterranean sumac, not North American sumac. The easiest way to use it is to make what's called sumac aid or sumac lemonade. And you just take a few bunches of the berries, kind of macerate them a little bit. I like to maybe just put them in some cheesecloth and smack them with a rolling pin, and then you dunk it in water. And you can let that sit for anywhere from a couple hours to like a whole 24 hours. The longer you let it soak, the more you're going to get out of it. And the result is something that looks and tastes just like pink lemonade, just without all those harmful dyes. The other one that I have pictured here is American elderberry, also called black elderberry. There are two parts of this plant that are edible. One is the flowers, which by this time of year are gone. The flowers can be used in teas. A really common practice is to either make elderflower simple syrup or dipping them in batter and kind of making an elderflower fritter or kind of like a tempura. The berries are edible when they look a lot like this. So the darker, the more ripe they are. There are some weird things in them that a lot of people say to just cook them to dissipate those potentially harmful chemicals. The green berries are poisonous. However, there is a book called Forage Harvest Feast, which I have later on in the presentation, that says if you pickle them, so essentially you're using the unripe green berries to make capers, and you pickle them and you ferment them, and that makes the once poisonous berries edible, which is really cool. I actually have it going in my fridge right now as kind of a test to see what it looks like. What I find really cool is that both the sumac and the elderberries are trees that clone. They send out canes just like raspberries do. And what's really cool is both of these trees were historically used by Native Americans as spiles for maple tapping. Both of them have kind of a hollow inside, like a hollow heartwood. So that could be one reason why. The other really interesting thing is because they do send out canes every year, that using some of the younger or straighter canes for spiles for maple tapping wouldn't necessarily completely harm the plant because they're sending out clones. So it's kind of a sustainable maple spile, maple tapping source that's completely natural. Some other shrubs, I would be really sad if I didn't mention this. I didn't get a picture of the ripe berries, but the ripe berries are super, super red. What you see on the left is actually the flowering. I think this picture was taken in March. It's one of the first things to flower in the springtime, and the flowers are edible. Actually, everything on this bush is edible. The leaves and the bark and the twigs can be used in like a saute. So think of how animal bones are used to make flavored broths. It's the same thing. The big thing is the berries. They can be dried and used as a one-to-one substitute for allspice. In fact, Integration Acres, which is owned by the founder of the Ohio Pawpaw Festival, sells spicebush berries like by the bag that you can just buy and use. You can eat the berries fresh. There's not a lot of flesh on them. It's really leathery, so you kind of have to scrape it off with your teeth. But it tastes exactly like a red hot or like hot cinnamon candy, which is just really like fun to tell people. I'm sure a lot of people know what a spice bush looks like. The leaves are alternating. And one thing I always like to do, if I'm not 100% sure if it's a spice bush or not, is just to rub one of the leaves and then to smell my fingers. And those volatile oils that are on the leaves will just instantly be able to be picked up by you. It's like once you start like touching all the green stuff, you start noticing all these different things, not just touch, but smell and sight and how things interact. By all means, touch the green. Just make sure it's not poison ivy before you touch it. I made that mistake once. Some festive flowers that we have. Again, both of these can be used in drinks. The passion vine flowers and leaves can be used as teas. However, you do want to add heat to it. There's some compounds in them that resemble cyanide. It's a really trace amount, but it is completely dissipated with heat. So drying the leaves or sauteing the leaves, you can even make like a green salad like collards. The thing with the leaves and the flowers is it's kind of a sleepy time tea. So when I mentioned earlier about the bees falling asleep, it's because they even extract that sleepy time chemical when they're feeding on the nectar. It's used a lot in people who can't sleep, people who have anxiety. If you obviously don't want to put dinner guests to sleep, if you add fat into greens that you're sauteing, it'll completely neutralize the sleepy time effects as well. The fruit, and this goes with the fact that it's a subtropical fruit that's growing here in Ohio, the fruit ripens really, really, really late. Here, it's maybe late September or October. So maybe up in Cleveland, if you had some, it would be middle of October before the fruit's ripe, which is just wild to think that this tropical tasting fruit is ripe and when everyone's thinking of pumpkin spice. The other one I like to mention is blue balm. I don't know if anyone still has some blooming or not. Mine's pretty much done, but both the flowers and the leaves are edible and can be used in like teas or drinks. I like just, since it's part of the mint family, I even like just taking a couple leaves and subbing that into like cocktails or sodas that I would otherwise use mint for. It's just a completely different taste though. It's kind of spicy, a little peppery. The flowers can also be used if you feel so inclined to go real crazy, can be made into a salve. It has antiseptic qualities, so people used it as a balm for bee stings. which kind of goes along with that cure grows near the source idea, kind of like jewelweed and poison ivy. But both of them are pretty much like tea focused. I've tried several different kinds of bee balms, and they all have their own different nuances, both the species and just each individual plant. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the good thing is with bee balm and passion vine is they're so voracious in how they spread, you're probably never going to deplete your resource at all. I always like to stress for people to do their own research. Just because something's okay for me to eat doesn't mean it's okay for someone else to eat. You might have an allergic reaction. I really had to study into that when I was preparing syrups for people, because you can make, well, it's not maple syrup, it's black walnut syrup. But it's like, well, if you have a tree nut allergy, will that affect you? And there was this whole rabbit hole of research I had to do. It turns out no. So that's really helpful that I didn't hurt anyone with a nut allergy. But there's always like conflicting information that I find, specifically around things like passion vine or like sassafras that may or may not have compounds in it that people have found that are detrimental, but have been used historically. It's just now we have a little bit more information. And there's conflicting stuff because of like where people are. Maybe they use different terminology as far as like different common names instead of scientific names, or maybe they're from Europe, so they're using a different passion vine instead of the passiflora. And it's just like, do your own research. If it's your first time eating something, don't gorge yourself on it. Even something good in a huge amount is bad. And one thing I always share is there was on a field hike I was on, someone was regaling me of the story of this individual who worked for the Ohio EPA. They found a grove of pawpaws, and it was around lunchtime, and they were starving and had forgotten their lunch back in their truck. So they just gorged themselves on pawpaws. And like, well, it's good for you. And they're pawpaws, so I know I can eat them. And then about 4 hours later, he realized he maybe shouldn't have eaten like 2 pounds of pawpaw because of all that fiber. So even anything good in a large amount can be bad. So I always say, if it's your first time eating something, just like try a little bit, just a little taste, to see if your body's going to have an adverse reaction or not. Because it is something new to you, so you got to get yourself used to it. And then you also got to figure out if you actually enjoy it or not. These are some of the recommended readings that I have. All of these you can get from local library. Midwest Foraging is really nice. Has when, where, and how to forage for it, what to use in it, and all color pictures. Peterson Field Guide is very comprehensive, light, easy to carry with you if you're going out on a hike. Stalking the Wild Asparagus in Nature's Garden for Victory and Peace, which is by George Washington Carver, and is a free PDF you can just download online through the Library of Congress. And the Yule Gibbons book, which I was introduced to by my mother-in-law, who's a crazy hippie lady. And she was like, you got to read this book. I knew about this book back then. These are a few other books. The Drunken Botanist is a really fun read if you're interested in why, how, and when we started fermenting different crops. Forage Harvest Feast is part cookbook, part field guide. The amount of recipes she has is absurd. I mean, and it's some weird stuff. It's not just, here's this thing, make it into a tea. No, she does all these like compound butters, all these pickles and fermentations. And like by that I mean like well, pickling and fermentation is kind of the same thing, but there's like, oh God, there's just so many. And she really uses like the whole the whole animal. So like if you make one recipe, you're going to have leftover X. Well, she then has a recipe for your leftover X to use in recipe Y. And it's just, it's a really good read. Wild Crafted Cocktail I got as a Christmas gift. It has a wild persimmon margarita with a spice bush berry like sugar rim, which is just a wild combination. It has a recipe for pickled fiddleheads to use as a garnish instead of olives. And then one really big one, which if you're a PBS Passport subscriber, you will have access to, is Leg Stroud's Wild Harvest. He is a avid adventurist and talks about eating out in nature, but he brings to the table a friend of his who is a chef, and so he gives him these wild ingredients, and he makes these amazing meals out of them. And it's just this whole mindset of preserving the earth to give us more gifts is a part of the ethos in that show, and I would recommend watching it. Then there's some more recommended readings. All of these books pictured here are written by Native Americans. Corn Dance, which is specifically a vegetarian, if not full vegan, cookbook on Native American ingredients and like contemporary uses. The Sioux Chef's Indigenous Kitchen, which was awarded a James Beard Award. That was my first foray into using sumac as an ingredient, but he has a few other ingredients as well that are really interesting and just goes into contemporary use using historical knowledge. Original Local, Tawa, and the New Native Kitchen are all kind of the same idea. They're all really interesting reads and will kind of make you think about stuff that you might have in your backyard in a completely different light, from the lens of people who were here first. And then again, Braiding Sweetgrass. I really wish I got to hear her talk when she was in town last year, but we had some scheduling conflicts come up. But if you haven't read Braiding Sweetgrass, I would highly recommend it. It is one of those reads. And in October, she'll be having a new book come out that is specifically about the serviceberry, which I'm real excited about, because that was one of the first non-mushroom plants that we got into with native foraging. And then the end result, we have the tarts that are on the left. Those are made with our first year passion vine fruits. We were really surprised that we even got an other year one, but we actually got enough fruits to make tarts out of them. Maple syrup. Any maple can give you maple syrup, but it is a lot of time and a lot of either firewood or propane to get maple syrup out of sap. Service berries. I mentioned earlier that I make wines. That's a picture of sumac wine that I made. Still kind of kept that pink lemonade look to it. And then the persimmon margaritas, which I will say was weird. That took a little bit more nuance than what we were prepared for. The native persimmons have a lot of tannins in them. So you get that kind of dry mouth feel unless you kind of cook it down and kind of leach off some of those tannins. And then another tenet of the Honorable Harvest is sharing. It's not just using it for yourself, but this stuff always seems to taste better around a group. And you see people's eyes light up for the first time when they taste snickerdoodle cookies made with spice bush berries instead of cinnamon, or sumac or passion fruit, Turkish delight, or any of the syrups or saps that we've made. So if you get the chance to try some of it yourself, let other people try it too, because it'll make them super excited and interested into saving our natural world, but also it'll make you feel really good too. And that's it. I'd love to open it up to questions if I haven't taken up too much time.
Great.
No, thank you. That was perfect. Gosh, there's so much to think about. The margarita, I would love to try. That would be.
Oh, I see someone.
I have a question about the passion fruit. I don't know if I'm the person you saw there. So when it ripens, does it ripen into something that is like as good as it at its best? Or like in terms of like fruiting, or is it something where it like for me, like fig almost needs more time. I know it's not native, but are you
The persimmon?
at its best when you're on the passion fruit?
Oh, the passion fruit. It's so it is completely 100% different than the gooey kind of kiwi passion fruit that you see at the store. What the native passion fruit looks more like when you open it is a pomegranate. So the pulp that is covering each individual seed is the edible part. Again, it doesn't ripen until probably sometimes mid-October. But each individual fruit will feel kind of heavy, just like any fruit that you get at the supermarket. If it feels heavy for its size, that's how you know it's ripe. But what's really weird is it gets its name Maypop for like a reason, because you like squeeze it and it feels like there's air in there. And if you squeeze it too hard, it'll pop. But yeah, it's a lot different than the tropical passion fruit. If I Let's see, does that link have a look to the inside? No. And I don't think I took a picture of the inside at all anytime soon. Yeah, the inside is completely different than the tropical passion fruit. It is more reminiscent of in the way that the fruit encases the seeds in like the little drops. It's more reminiscent of a pomegranate than a normal passion fruit. But it does take a really long time to ripen. It'll sit on our vines. Our vines, the flowers that are already pollinated, you can already see little tiny fruits, and they'll sit there for another 2 months before they're ready.
I have a question about I have two questions actually. What was the name of the group that does the Pawpaw festival?
So
Integration something?
Integration Acres. The
Acres.
owner of
Okay.
Integration Acres is the founder of the Pawpaw Festival.
Okay.
They sell all sorts of stuff. Actually,
Right.
just hold on for 1 second.
Sure.
Has anybody here on the call been to the Ohio Pawpaw Festival before?
I now have 3 pawpaws, so I haven't been to a festival yet, but they're growing and they're
That's good.
doing well.
It's far for us from Cleveland. It's a little bit, it's a
Right.
little south from here.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to try this at Ohio State's Earth Day Festival,
Ooh,
and my local nursery, Scioto Gardens, had some on a shelf, so I picked this
oh,
up. It's pawpaw jam that has spice bush berry in it. And
okay.
I will say
Super.
I'm not that big of a fan of pawpaw. I love that people are excited about it and that it's a native,
Right.
but I'm just not a fan of bananas. So I'm not a fan of pawpaw. But this jam with the spice bush is just amazing.
All
And I'm
right.
sure they have it on their website too.
Good to know. And the other question I had was when you're making your wine, do you do natural fermentation?
I do not.
Oh,
I use commercial yeast. My first wine I did, I just used Fleischmann's bread yeast, and it turned out fine. It
sure.
was a pain in the butt, but it turned out fine. The one time I decided to not boil cider and use whatever yeast was present,
Right.
I had some weird stuff happen.
Yeah.
Either some mold started to develop, which is easy enough to get rid of. If it's on top, there's stuff you can add.
Sure.
But
Just-
I haven't done that with my wines. I haven't done wild fermentation.
Okay.
I've done it with I made a fermented serviceberry syrup where it's literally all it is a 1-to-1 ratio of service berries and sugar. And you put it in a jar and you shake it. And then you shake it every day and let it sit on your counter for like 7 days. And then you put it in your fridge. And that's literally all you do.
Wow.
And that, because I didn't put any yeast in it, was wild fermentation.
Right. Yeah, I was just curious. Thanks. It was a great presentation. It was so interesting.
Thank you. Yeah. If anyone, I'm gonna go ahead and put my email up in the chat. If anyone has any other organizations that you all are affiliated, that members are affiliated with, or other Wild Ones chapters, by all means, give out my information.
Great.
I can't tell you how many events I go to, and I'm like, didn't I see you at this other thing that just happened at this other group? And it's just this all interconnected web.
Right.
Yes, I feel like the circles that include stuff like this are small, so you always run into the same people, and hey, they're usually pretty cool people. So
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, David. We appreciate
And I
your
had to
time.
laugh about the E.O. Gibbons reference because I read that in college many years ago.
Yeah, I was
In my hippie days.
my mother-in-law
Yeah,
handed me her copy of Stalking the Wild Asparagus, and I was just flipping through it, and I'm like, oh, he has a whole chapter about cattails.
he does.
And it got me so excited.
It made me laugh.
Thank you, David.
Yes, thank you.
And the email address or contact info is where?
It's in the
Oh,
chat.
I thought I put it
In
in the
chat.
chat.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
No, I'm in chat. I didn't see it. I'll look. I'll keep looking.
Might have to scroll down.
Yeah, I'll find it. No worries.
I can see it. You just have to go down, yeah.
Oh, this place does a spice bush stout.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. So speaking of brewing, in my connections with Appalachia Ohio Alliance, I've started.
Got it.
Well, and I guess with Float, Float's been doing a lot with them too. Appalachia Ohio Alliance, we had a thing going with Nocterra Brewing here in Columbus.
Okay.
And now Flow is doing stuff with them. Nocterra is extremely philanthropic as far as giving back to local organizations. So every month they have a Take a Hike beer because they're all about the outdoors. And each year or each month, they give part of the proceeds to that specific beer sales to a organization. Depending on the month, sometimes it's Friends of the Lower Unintended Watershed, sometimes it's the Metro Parks, Delaware County Women's Shelter, just all sorts of organizations. And they have a really good message and a really awesome team. And I've been trying to get them to, because their whole symbol is a butterfly, or well, it's a moth. I've been trying to get them to connect with the Ohio Lepidoptera Society, because I feel like that'd be really cool. And obviously all the different plants that are hosts to butterflies and moths.
That's cool. That's cool. I wish there was a place like that up here. That
Right.
sounds like a very, like if I were to start a brewery, I feel like that's what that's how I
Right.
would do it too.
I'm sad they didn't get on the spice bush first, because it's like, ooh, that's a spice bush swallowtail, that's Lepidoptera. You guys have a moth as your emblem.
Right.
Make some beer with spice bush. That's really cool.
That can be our side gig, Janice.
Yes.
So,
Our fundraiser.
Wild Ones, spice bush beer. Well, it could be like ginger beer, but with spice bush. They can have alcohol.
It sounds like a fantastic fundraiser opportunity.
And just think how many signs we could sell.
For sure.
I'll get one. I'll get one.
All right. We're gonna keep moving. Thank you, David. Feel free to stay on and sit with us, or if you have things to do, feel free to jump off. So
Sure.
thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
me.
So from July, we have 16 new members, which is very exciting. I'm trying to look at the list of who we have. Do we have any of these people on? Shirley, you're on, aren't you? Do you want to say hi?
Sorry about that. Let me just put my,
Oh, you're fine. I'm
There
putting
we
you on
go.
the spot, so
hello.
hi. What part of town are you in?
I'm in Shaker Heights.
Shaker Heights. Do you have a favorite native plant?
No, I like a lot of them. It's hard for me. When you ask me to pin down food, anything, I can't give you one. So I
That's a
like
good
lot of
answer.
them.
I like that. Let's see. Is anybody? I see a few names on here that I haven't seen before. Does anybody else want to say hi or introduce themselves? Gail or Beth? I'm just
I'd
gonna
like
call
to
it names.
introduce somebody.
Yes, Jenny, please.
It's a little bit early. I was going to wait, but Carrie Lloyd, I'd like to reintroduce. She's from New Jersey, and she is a teacher and has developed a fantastic educational program. I know we're not ready for that, but we're all like-minded people, and I was hoping that we could rally behind her and support her. Her and her students are getting ready to do their first presentation. They're getting ready to branch off to other areas, not just in New Jersey, but in other states. Carrie, you want to say hi and tell them about your presentation next week?
Yeah, great, sure. So I have a Zoom link that I could, we could just share through through email if that's okay, or I can share it into the chat, but I don't want to limit just to people who are here. So this is fun to see another group in a totally different part of the country, because I'm used to sort of being like the person who talks the most. So to be like new, it's exciting to see other people having the same kind of conversations that I love having over here in New Jersey.
Yeah, for sure.
So just to tell you a little bit about me, I was a speaker at New Jersey Science Teachers Convention this year talking about school gardening. I have a good idea of what's happening in public schools versus private schools. I can see how public schools, the teachers are totally exhausted. And like it's hard. It's really hard to get native plants into public schools is something I'm seeing. I'm also seeing in private schools, sometimes like having a garden is almost like a must, just because it's a part of the sell of the school. And so they'll pay somebody to kind of have that job where a public school might not. But what I'm known for around here is just my community engagement ideas. I did enough community engagement that I started a giant garden at my own school that I brag about constantly, which is in the presentation at the very beginning because it's my favorite thing. But also, I want to talk about just community engagement and different ideas for what can be done to be able to involve more people, and not just people who are already, signing up to learn about native plants because they're already interested, but how to catch the people who are in the community and don't really know anything about native plants, but know they like plants and might be interested in learning, if there's something that's fun for them to go to. I'd love to just talk about some of the things that I've done that have been really successful. And there's like a certain formula for being able to put these activities together that I'd you know, love to just see what you've done, and also talk about what I've done, and also what we're working on now. Although it sounds like you're not quite ready for it, I'd love to kind of creep my ideas in and see, you know, how you feel about them. Janice, you're not, I think you're trying to talk, but you're not.
You're right. You're right. I was. I think we're definitely aligned with, you know, our mission that we're trying to accomplish here. So for sure, you know, we are definitely interested in, you know, working together and figuring out what, you know, a relationship would be there. And I'm very excited for you for your students' presentation that's coming up. So if you want to share with this group, feel free to put it in the chat. We can also, you know, we can talk off the meeting too about possibly sharing some more information. So
Yeah,
thanks for being here. We're very excited.
thanks. I was thinking that we could try to, I think Jenny and I were talking about maybe something like next Thursday before you have a national meeting around like maybe like 6 o'clock or something like that. Were we saying that?
We
Yeah,
can-
I thought, like, I don't know, what do you think, Janice? Is 6 o'clock too early, or maybe
I think-
5:30?
I think this is I think we need to have that conversation not during this meeting. So we can definitely talk about that after this or follow up with an email. I think would be great.
Yeah, I can also share my presentation with you if you want to see it.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
I will put it in the chat.
Okay. All right, so just a reminder, it's still August. So we have our community growth challenge that's still going on, where you can refer your friends, your family, your neighbors, everyone to come be a member of Wild Ones. And if you use everyone who's a member, if you log in, you have your own personal referral code that you can give to you know, someone who's not a member, and they use that, and that gives you, you know, your behind the scenes little extra points that'll help, you know, receive some free swag, depending on how many friends you refer. So just a little reminder about that because it goes through the end of the month. So we're about halfway through, or we are halfway through the month of August. So just a little reminder. I think as a chapter, we're doing really well with the referrals. And then just a nice note of we now have over 130 gardens as part of our native habitat corridor, which is absolutely amazing. I think we get an email. I feel like we get a new one every day in our inbox of someone joined. So it's always, it makes me feel really happy to see that there's still such an influx of people joining the corridor. So that is amazing. And if you joined and you have, you know, a picture of your sign up in your yard, please send it to us. We'd love to see it. I know myself, I have yet to get my sign outside. So it's sitting in my dining room where I can see it every day when I eat dinner. So and I like to look at it because it's pretty, but I gotta get it out in the yard. You can join, it's on our website. You can scan this QR code if you want. It's very easy to find how to join the map. And of course, we have a few participating nurseries where you can get a kit, which includes plants and a sign. Plus, if you're going to one of the local nurseries, you might end up going home with more than just the plant kit. I don't know about you all, but when I go to the nursery, I usually load up. It's hard to say no to plants. So coming up, we have very soon, we have elections coming up. So In our bylaws as a chapter, we have all of our board of director positions set at the 1 year term. So we are starting our first election round as a fully chartered chapter, starting very soon. So the board of director positions, what are those? So that would be president of the chapter, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and just a board member. Our timeline for this, we have call for applications to open August 16th, which is tomorrow. I think we're running a little bit behind, so we'll probably push out on Sunday. So keep an eye out on your email. If you're a member, you're only allowed to vote if you're a member. So if you're interested in either voting or becoming a board member, you're not a member yet, this would be a great opportunity and time to do that. So we're setting our deadline for applications to be about mid-September. We'll select a candidate and then we'll have a voting period from about October 7th to the 23rd. And then the new directors, there's that transition period of everybody, getting to learn their new roles. And then the new board will hit the ground running on January 1st, which seems very far away, but also very close at the same time. So, if anyone's interested or you have questions or you want to know more about what a certain position does or how much time commitment something would be, please feel free to reach out. We're always here to answer questions. We have multiple personnel who check our emails, so feel free to ask any questions, but be on the lookout if you're a member for those call for applications. So we have a few tabling events coming up. One is this weekend. If you're not volunteering with them, maybe it might be something fun to show up to and do. This weekend, we're going to be in Twinsburg, which is in Summit County. The Tinkers Creek Watershed Partners is having their Watershed Family Fun Day. I think there's going to be food trucks there. They're doing hikes. They're all sorts of activities, and they're having other organizations like Wild Ones table there. And then next weekend in Cuyahoga County in Shaker Heights, they're having their annual Take to the Lake program, which is really awesome. And it's a way to bring community members back to the water. So they do all sorts of canoe and kayak lessons. They're doing yoga in the morning by the lake, just all sorts of water related things. And that's through the Donebrook Watershed Partnership. That'll be at the Lower Lake. And then coming in September, which is very exciting, is Medina County Native Plant Festival. This is going to be their second year for it at the Parks District in Medina County. So we're very excited to be tabling there again. So that should be that we're getting into September, people. So here we go. Some recent events. We had the Mustel Store, which is a historic building that is in Akron along the Ohio and Erie Canal. There is one of our one of our very active members and treasurer, Diane, kind of got us hooked on this program that they were doing. They were wanting to install a seed library for a while, and it finally came to fruition. They did a ribbon cutting, and they had like a nice little celebration day down there in Akron. So that was a really nice program, and we got one of our signs on the seed library. Another thing was Denny's Tallgrass Prairie Tour. That also is a little far from the Cleveland area. Did anyone on this call end up going to Denny's? I know Ray, our vice president, was there. He goes every year, I feel.
I didn't go this year, but I've gone to the fall event where he lets you collect seed from his tall grass prairie.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it is worth the drive, Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, I was really trying to make it work and I couldn't get there. But yeah, I'm hoping the seed collection looks really cool. Looking forward to that. Ooh, plus Ray always takes the best pictures. These are all of Ray's photos. So some upcoming events. So this weekend also on Sunday, we're doing a composting program in person. This is going to be in Berea in Cuyahoga County at the Berea Learning Farm. It's from 2 to 3 on Sunday. We do have registration for it just so we can see numbers before we go out. So if you are able to come, I can put that in the chat, or if somebody, I don't know, Erin, or Sherry can grab the link for that registration off of our website and throw it in the chat real quick. And then also Wild Ones, not just the Greater Cleveland chapter, but the national, is doing a series of fall webinars. And the first one is coming up on August 22nd. It's in the evening. All of them there's 3 of them scheduled, and all of them, the subject matter looks terrific. So this is combating the biodiversity crisis with native plants. So that one you also have to register for with National. If you go onto the website, go under their events, it's going to be right there. One of the exciting things I'm looking forward to is we are teaming up with the Audubon Society of Greater Cleveland to do a tour of their Novak Sanctuary. If you're unfamiliar, it's in Aurora, which is in Portage County, and they have a variety of different ecosystems there. They have some pollinator beds, they have a wetland, and they have like a prairie area. So they're gonna host us to do a tour. So make sure, you know, I think we haven't listed out a full itinerary yet. So we will be posting that soon. But definitely, you know, like wear good shoes for walking. I think we're gonna have some light refreshments there. And hear all about what, you know, the Audubon Society is doing as it relates to native plants and everything like that. I'm very excited to walk their property. We are hosting a virtual education meeting Wednesday, September 4th. It's a kind of an intro to wild ones and the importance of native plants. So it's geared towards those who maybe have heard of us, but don't really know everything we're about, or they're new to native plants and they're still not understanding, you know, what the full benefit is. And so we're going to be hosting that online. And then afterwards, we'll add that to our arsenal of videos on our website. So that way, you know, anybody can go back and watch that and learn from those. The other thing I was going to mention, I didn't list on here yet, to grab the day. So we've been working with Summit Metro Parks to host a tree seed collecting event. So that's going to be on September 18th. It's a Wednesday. Starting around like, I think we're doing like 4:45 to 7. It's going to be at one of the Summit Metro Parks. Very excited about that because, you know, even as we were just saying at the Guy Denny prairie, you know, when everyone thinks of seed collection, you think of coneflower, you think of, you know, all the perennials. And as we learned this past winter, we did our documentary night up in Shaker, and we talked a lot about seeds and how you know, the documentary was done through the for Ecological Restoration, and it was done kind of out west. So you think of where the plants out west, they're more of those perennial plants, they're prairie plants. And you think here, our indigenous, you know, ground cover, it was woods, it was forests. So our, you know, what is native here, it's the trees. And you know, you don't always think like, oh, seed collection, we're gonna go collect tree seeds. So I'm very excited. They have, Summit Metro Parks has a huge list of species that we're going to be collecting, and I am impressed that all of this huge list of trees is all found at one of their metro parks. So obviously it's very diverse at that one park, and we're gonna learn how to find what we need to find. They're gonna equip us with all, you know, the buckets and bags we need, and we're gonna pair up and trek around the metro park to collect tree seeds. It should be really fun. So that's coming up. Look for information for that. Again, it's Wednesday, September 18th. And I apologize that I did not have it listed in the presentation, but I'm telling you now for first alert. But don't forget, if you are a member, join us. We have our Facebook, not only just our Facebook page, but we have a Facebook group for our members as well. So that way, you know, you can post pictures, you can ask questions, you can share exciting events that are coming up. And, you know, it's more of that one-on-one discussion that you could have with, you know, other members or leadership with our chapter. We are looking forward to the next month here and what it's gonna entail. And I can't believe we're gonna be September next time we meet. So does anyone have any questions or things to share before we sign off for tonight? I'm really glad that everyone was here. Very appreciative. All right. And David, you're still on, so I'm gonna give another thank you shout out.
Yes, thank you. I did have one thing since since you mentioned Guy Denning and his prairie and it being really far away. Gail Martin up in Marengo, or well, for you all down in Marengo, is having another celebration at Natives in Harmony, which is her nursery in September. I'm just looking up to see when she wants. Oh, okay. September 21st is going to be their next celebration at the Natives in Harmony nursery.
Okay.
If y'all haven't heard of Natives in Harmony, yeah, okay, good.
Oh,
Everyone knows Gail. That's speaking of the circles, yeah, that she's everywhere. I would look up her information regarding her next event, because she had an event back in July. She asked me to come there as an edible plant speaker, but she already had like so many talented people there that I was like, your schedule's completely booked. I'm gonna like come there as a participant, not as like someone who is going to gab on and step on other people's toes. But she was like, oh no, it was so nice to see you and everyone else there, and I'm inviting you to come back for September. So I should be there September 21st.
Okay.
When she had her event there. She had a lot of people there who were doing historical reenactment stuff. So historical cooking. There was someone that had a spinning wheel, like pulling and making wool. There was someone there who was napping obsidian, which was really cool. She had a couple different foragers there, and then she took people all around her property, and they had music. So it's probably still a little bit of a drive, I feel like.
Yeah,
for-
we still, I mean, we've worked with them before, so, we definitely promote, at least promote their event and let, our membership know about that. So that's great. I didn't know that was happening. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
thank
guess
you.
it is. Yeah, it is like an hour and 40-minute drive. But it's well worth it because they're for those who don't know Gail, she kind of cut her teeth in Marion County as part of the EPA, and the Marion County OSU Extension's Tallgrass Prairie is her baby. Which I remember being in grade school and watching that go in, and now I know Gail and had no idea that they were connected until recently.
That's awesome.
her plants are mostly all Ohio genomes, so that means they grew up here, they have their roots here, they're pretty easy to grow here. And because she sells plugs, which are super baby plants, they're really cheap.
Yeah.
As opposed to other nurseries that sell, 2, 3, 4-year-old plants, and they're like $20.
Yeah. No, that's good. Jessica also put in the chat, Wild Ones is having their annual photo contest right now. Photos are due by the end of the month as well. So if you're a really good photographer or just shooting on your phone like the rest of us do, but you have a really awesome picture. They have a few categories to post, depending on what your picture is. So those are due by August 30th. So thank you for that reminder.
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome.
There's a few more links in the chat just for everyone to be aware. Our events link for the website, the registration link for the Berea Farms composting program this weekend. David dropped in Natives in Harmony's website. If you don't know who they are and who Gail is, I would recommend browsing around on her website and looking at all of that. So does anybody else have anything? Oh, wait, hold on. I'm scrolling up. Oh, Carrie, that was your post. Okay. Groups in Western Massachusetts, Washington, and 3 more in New Jersey doing it this year. Oh, that's so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, they've been working on. I'm just saying my thing. So I feel like it's just a chance for people to have an opportunity to invite the public in to sow seeds that you've collected into jugs you've collected.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a lot of people, but everybody's got a little piece. It's got like a sign of genius within it to make it so everybody knows what they're supposed to do. So to collectively, they can do something really awesome that grows the community and brings people in. But it's something to talk about, and I mean, it went really well at my school. I thought that maybe 20 people would come, and we got 90, and we raised a ton of money. And that's when I thought, okay, yeah, I need to do this. I need to like make a template so more people can do it. And that's my hope. And I would love to get a group or multiple groups to do it so we can prove the template works.
Mm-hmm.
As Doug Tallamy says, we need to do a lot more than what we're doing now. And for us to be able to do it in a way that we can afford it, we need to get much more efficient and we need to get cheaper. And that's the hope of this.
Mm.
And to reach into the community of people who've never heard of it.
Yep.
Which here in New Jersey, I mean, I like to think of it as a progressive state, but there's still so many people who I teach in a community where none of the kids know anything about native plants.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, they know nothing about native plants, and 90 people came. and we sold
Yeah.
200. So just a thing. It's a thing. It's becoming a thing, and I'm looking
Yes.
to keep growing.
You know, it's
Need to
funny,
get
I
you
think,
some New Jersey tea.
Yeah, I I don't grow that one yet. I really need to.
you know, it's interesting. We've had that discussion as well, like internally of, you know, we table at these native plant festivals and the people that are coming to them are the people that know what they are, right? But you still have, you know, you'll table at a different event, like we did one at the Akron Zoo. And it was a totally different experience because it's those people that don't know what native plants are. And I feel like that's even more exciting sometimes than talking to, you know, your fellow plant nerd that you know, you're introducing them to this new idea and this education. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, the event is something that you don't require somebody from a school to run the event. It could be run by a group, or just like, it really just needs a few solid people. But hosting it at a school puts it into the school newsletter. And that's where you get all of these strangers who are like, hey, I just heard that you can like basically get 10 plants for $5, and all I have to do is show up and put the seeds in and then take it home, like take this jug home, and then
Yeah.
you know, and then for us, we grew a 1,200 plant garden where each kid put a plant in, and we did it on like a shoestring budget because we sowed our own seeds. And now the plants they look like we bought them. Like they're beautiful and they're big and they're flowering, and it brings a lot of pride to our school. Unfortunately,
sure.
it's flowering now when it's like the custodians cleaning, but it's providing a service. And it's also, for me as a teacher, I'm saying it's not just it is do as I say and do as I do, and not just do as I say but not as I do, which is what majority of schools are doing. Most of them have a golf course or a school field, and that's
Yep.
it. And to say like, hey, we are a part of the solution, we're going to work together, and if everybody cares even just a little, we can do a lot. That's
Yep.
like the purpose of the program. So I
That's
really
great.
need like support. I mean, I'm not trying to make money, I'm just trying to
No,
just
yeah, we
even
all
bigger.
have the same. We want
Yeah.
to tell the world about, you know, how to make our ecosystems better and biodiversity increase and, you
Yeah.
know, all that good stuff that we need more of. So no, it's
So
great.
I'd like to
Jana?
eventually make it bigger because it's a formula for going bigger than I think that we currently do. Because we can be pretty insulated within our circles without meaning to be. It just is.
No, yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Hey, Janice, what I was hoping, I know we're not ready to do educational programs yet. We're about 3-5 years out, but I was hoping we could support Carrie and get our members the opportunity to see her first presentation with the students, to support the students and just be there for her. And I think that would go a long way, since she's getting ready to present to other garden clubs, other native plant groups, other states. It would be nice if we were there to give her our input as she gets ready to present.
Yeah,
and
I would love to, you know, form that relationship and be there for support and you know, everything else. So
and
yeah.
it's okay that you're not ready for the educational part. I'm personally, as a teacher, just making my own materials now because there's really nothing good out there. I'm making it based on Doug Tallamy's stuff. But I feel like I'm inventing my own native plant education within my own classroom because it is really hard to figure that out. But this is more just about like that square one of making it so that the communities are more engaged, so that they can see a value and say, hey, why aren't we learning about native plants in school? Why are we learning about zebras? Why are we learning about lions and tigers and bears? Oh my, like this is not like, you know, this is not how we're going to save the world. This is just how we're going to pretend that we care, but we're not actually doing it. So it's not about education as much as it is about community at this point.
Yeah. So we're really excited, Carrie. I know we have that meeting in another week or so. But because this is being recorded for a YouTube channel, I do want to address the one comment that we're not doing educational stuff.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
5 years. That's actually not correct. We actually have educational activities, events and activities year round, both with special guest speakers. as well as our own speakers within the group. And we also do currently work with schools. We actually have a special school program that we're going to be launching next year. We've already started working with a few schools in the last year or two.
Oh, I didn't
But we'll be
realize that.
working with specifically 3 to 5 schools probably within the next year with a special program. So we're definitely excited to listen to that. But especially since it's being recorded for YouTube, I don't want that misinformation out there.
No, yeah, of course. That sounds amazing. You guys do wonderful programming. I've never seen a group that is so regular around here in New Jersey. If we have a wild ones, I'm not aware of it. It's like for us, it's kind of like more like nurseries put together programming, and people go to the nursery or do a Zoom in with the nursery and learn that way. So having something so organized is really special.
I'm sure I'm looking now because now I want to see. It looks
I
like
host-
there's
And I host stuff at libraries. That's mostly how I do my work. I do it through and nurseries. Yeah, I don't know if we have a wild ones. We should.
there Philadelphia.
That's a trip.
Oh, and I don't know geography, but Jersey Skylands is a seedling chapter, so it's in northwestern New Jersey.
Oh,
So seedling is like they're just starting and they're trying to,
Yeah.
you know,
we have
get their chapter off the ground. So
there's a swap group near us that's in another town over, or a few towns over. It's called Wild for West Windsor. And then for the group I run, it has 1,500, like Facebook members, and it's called just like Hopewell, New Jersey Native Plant Swap. And then it's just, but people from the region seem to be joining it and traveling for the events.
that's good.
Yeah, but what you do is really cool. I mean, that's very regular, and at least it's not like a bunch of different groups. It seems to be like more centralized, which is very like effective.
We're trying.
Yeah, way to go. Way to go.
So thank
Yeah,
you.
it's great to see what you do.
Yeah. All right. So it's 8:21. I'm gonna let everybody go so they can have a few minutes back for their evening. But thanks again, David. And we'll see you next month. And if not, we'll
Thank
see
you.
you before then
Thanks,
at one of our
David.
events. So
I can't wait
thanks,
to order.
everybody. Bye.
Bye. Great to meet everybody. Thank you.